Welcome to Corriere Canadese. As you know, Corriere Canadese is the only Italian language daily newspaper in all of North America, and we cooperate with Corriere Media Group and Go Live TV in our ongoing coverage of the Toronto municipal elections. Now, we've talked to mayoralty candidates, we've talked to councillor candidates, and we've started to talk about another very important element of the municipal election, and that is trustee candidates. We've made the invitation open to everybody. We've covered it every day in our Corriere Canadese pages, and one of the people who's responded for an interview to discuss issues related to education, and in particular to Catholic education, is none other than Yenny Musalem. Yenny, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, for coming on, and for putting yourself through the grilling that's required in order to get education. Now, to get to education. So Yenny, this is kind of a new name for most of us. Musalem, that's Spanish, isn't it?
Yes, I'm original from Chile, South America.
Oh, yeah.
So my first language is Spanish. So you'll notice my accent, but I'm going to try to speak very slowly with my English.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a Spanish accent.
It is beautiful, I think.
You know, I speak with an Italian accent. Anybody who watches this says, okay, when did that guy get off the boat?
And it's known that two languages are good for your imagination, for your thinking.
Well, this is one of the issues that we've had with the school board that you want to represent, but we'll get to that in a minute, is the role of international languages, especially at the elementary level.
Well, before I start or I talk about anything of my platform, I would like to thank you for inviting me here and introduce myself.
You don't need to be so formal, Yenny. Thank you for coming. But tell us who you are first. So now we know you're of Chilean background.
Yes.
You speak Spanish. You speak English. But what kind of background have you got?
Well, I was a teacher for 31 years with the
That's
Toronto.
A lot.
I know, a long time, and I miss it already, and it's been only 3 months. I would like to actually represent the community. I would like to approach education from another perspective. My concern is students from day one. I've lived...
So
Go ahead.
Where did you teach?
I taught in the high school level.
Where?
First years was Don Bosco Secondary School. Don Bosco.
No, hold on. You know, like a lot of people watching know Don Bosco because it had a coach who was contemporaneously a mayor of the city, Rob Ford. Did you teach with him?
He came after I left.
But he was a coach. Are you a coach?
Yeah, I coach. I coach badminton, tennis, field hockey, track and field. I find that, sports, it's part of the education. It gives you a more rounded education. The students that actually succeed in sports will actually do better on their life outside the school, after the school. If you keep them occupied in the schools, I find that they like coming to the school. They learn better. They're a better citizen in the long run.
So an athletic component to a curriculum
It is.
enhances the individual.
I think it's very important.
Where did you teach until you left the profession?
I taught at Loretto Abbey for many years, 20 years, an old girls' school. I also I advocate for every student.
That school used to have a reputation with being a little bit more structured.
Yes. It was a very different environment. Don Bosco, it was a co-ed school. I came to mainly academic school, Loretto Abbey, all girls. So it was a big switch. So I think all that experience in between the schools actually give me some kind of a background so I can actually teach or I can improve the education or help improve the education.
But I guess that's the scope. Somebody who's in a classroom or who aims to go to a classroom as a teacher initially starts with a concept of a vocation, to help. Correct me whenever I'm wrong, but presumably to help young men and women achieve their own personal potential.
And that is exactly what I want to do. I want to actually help advocate for every single student out there, whether it being a special needs student, whether it's being a newcomer to the country. Every single child deserves a good education.
So there's a curriculum component.
Yes.
What did you teach, just before we go into that?
I taught high school science, mainly biology.
That's that soft
That is
science.
not the soft science. We need to know. Yes, it is a science, a strong science now. I always tell everybody you cannot do well in any other thing if you don't know your biology.
So, but that, all kidding aside,
Yes.
there are those who think that biology, yes, it's a science, but it's softer than chemistry
and physics.
And physics. That there's a particular discipline that you need to apply if you're going to master those two items on the curriculum, or those three.
If you want to master them all, we need a strong mathematical background.
Oh, well, listen, don't get me started,
And
Yenny.
that is the problem. That is the one. After all the studies.
No, but it's a
after-
problem, seriously.
It is.
At the ACAO results, now you're a high school teacher, I'm sorry. At the elementary level, it seems that there is a lack of precision or dedication to mathematical skills. Am I just making a big deal out of this?
You are right. You are right. And that is one of the reasons why I would like to actually, as I said, run for a trustee. I was actually doing all my studies and all my learning through the summer, and taking a look at the actual results from the EQAO, we see a little bit of a drop between grade 3, grade 6, and grade 9 of the mathematics. Also literacy. So
that means that a student coming out of elementary school to your former classrooms is already at a disadvantage. Because you have a particular, and my sense is that high schools have a particular requirement on which they build. And you're telling me, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're telling me that at the elementary level, the kids aren't being prepared enough to come into a school.
No, it's not as simple as you're writing. They are prepared. They just need a little bit more preparation. And that's what we're going to actually try to improve, either by providing new resources, or that's what I would like to do. I think the board is doing a good job. Elementary school teachers are doing a good job.
But they can't be doing it well enough.
They do. As I said, it's not as simple as you're saying. It's more complicated than that. We need to do more studies. We need to actually go and take a look at where the problem arises. What happens to those children from grade 3 to grade 6 to grade 9? And that's the reason why I want to run for a trustee.
Well, we reported you as saying at a recent meeting where there was a concept of trying to rebuild a school environment, a physical environment. Because in our view, there are two components at least to education. One is that you build the house, the school, and the other one is you actually do something in it. That's the curriculum.
That's right.
And so this particular thing you were at, and it was at Dante Regina Mundi. They've been playing around with money for a long time, and they haven't built a proper structure yet. And I think we quoted you as saying, having structure, a building, is great. You got to put something in it.
It's having a beautiful house. As I said, it's going to do even better if you actually increase the learning inside too. So
does that require more teacher training?
Mainly, or maybe reduction in the number of students in the classroom.
But
Maybe
that's a union issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and if we can help with that, if we can actually, talk to the unions and actually provide more support for the students, it's becoming very, very difficult to teach now. And why is that? Because the competition between social media and the outside, forces that actually, getting those students distracted. So if we can actually get more teachers, more support in the classroom, I'm sure those kids are going to be able to succeed.
Well, but the people who do that, who are supposed to do that, are the administration. They come forward with a plan on what to do
And I'm
education.
sure they're doing it.
Well,
I'm
they were
sure-
all former teachers. I mean, there are very few.
And I'm sure they are probably trying their hardest. It's very difficult.
So what happens to somebody psychologically when they become a superintendent or an associate director? They
Well, I
forget their experience?
haven't been a superintendent, so I wouldn't know what would happen. They are very hardworking people. I work with many of them. Most of them actually care about the education system, so they're probably
but I think
fighting
that's
equally.
the key. But that's the key, though, isn't it? Instead of saying, in our view,
Yes.
that teachers who enter the profession do it for vocation. They don't do
Definitely.
it for a job, and then they move up the ladder, so to speak. And instead of, this is our observation, mine in particular,
Yes.
but instead of maintaining that drive, what
Most-
happens is they become more administrators than
Some of them do, like as any other, but there's some, the majority, that will still care about the education of the
So what
student.
does a trustee have to do with that? I mean, presumably the trustee is going to be dealing
I'm-
with these former teachers.
That's right. And since I'm a former teacher, I know how to actually talk to them. So I have a plus. I'll actually present myself as one of them at the beginning, and then we can work together.
But you're going to have to work with other trustees
Oh,
who don't
yes,
have that
definitely.
kind of background.
Yeah, well, you can bring them all together. You can explain education from another point of view. I think we all should work, all trustees will have to work together if the board actually wants to succeed.
Now, you got about 4 or 5 other competitors in this race.
Yes,
Ward 5, for those who don't know, is actually the federal and provincial riding of Eglinton Lawrence.
yes,
I have a particular attachment to that, plus the federal provincial riding of Willowdale.
yes.
So you're coming from just west of here, which is roughly Keele Street,
Keele.
but it's actually Caledonia. So from Keele Street, and you go all the way over to Yonge Street, and then you move north and take all the riding of Willowdale.
It is a very large riding with definitely different needs. So I'll try to represent as much as I can to every single parent.
But
You're
that's
probably
just the
familiar with
Catholic
it.
ones.
Yeah, just the Catholic ones.
Because the other ones, I hate to say this, I hope nobody gets offended, but they don't count for this election. We're electing a Catholic school board trustee.
Yes.
So that's all those people who identify themselves as Catholic school supporters. They get a right to vote for Yenny.
Yes, and I hope they do.
Well, I imagine that's why you're in this
Yeah.
race,
Yes.
right? Because you want them to do it, and you want to present, the image of somebody who's got some expertise.
And I do want to help their kids, their concerns. I want to actually, increase their input into the board. I'll be listening to every single parent.
So, let me tell you something, and
yeah.
this is probably unfair of me to do, but we've given everybody the opportunity to call up, but you're in a ward that has an incumbent, at least part of it, who has had some tough times with our newspaper, and and quite frankly, is probably one of the reasons why there are so many people who want to displace her.
Oh, no, that wasn't no. I don't want to displace anybody. I just wanted to run. When I came on,
You must have come across many of your campaigning people who say, we got to get rid of that person. I won't mention the name because I don't want to give free
I do.
publicity.
I don't. I'm just worried about my own personal, purpose of running. I want to make sure, as I
It's
said,
student-centered purpose.
student center.
But you also have to be, with respect, I imagine,
Yes.
systems oriented.
Yes.
You want to promote a Catholic educational system as opposed to a public system.
That's one of the reasons why I taught in the Catholic, because I think we have a common thread that makes it a special community.
What's that common thread?
The religion, the being a Catholic, having a support system from the church. I want to increase the relation between the school, the church, and the homes. I want to make sure that that's maintained through the years. That usually makes us a very special community. And I find that students, that they feel they belong when they come to the school, they do better, they produce better, they become better citizens in the long run.
Now, there's a novel thing that there are actually some people who think that there's a particular value and that you have to promote that value. So good luck to you, Yenny. Now, I've got to confess that there's a religious component, and we're already out of time.
Oh.
But what I want to do is I want to thank you, Yenny Musalem, for coming here and to exhibit yourself to the public.
Thank you.
I don't know, is there any last thing you want to say?
Well, thank you to everyone that is watching, and I do hope I count on your vote. Vote for Yenny Musalem.
Okay, so this is Joe Volpe on behalf of Corriere Canadese, Go Live TV, Corcan Media Group, thanking you for staying tuned. Exercise your vote on October 22nd. Make sure that you vote for the trustee, in this case for the Catholic school trustee candidate of your choice. Follow us online, Corriere.ca. Read us on Corriere Canadese every day. We're a daily newspaper. And make an intelligent decision. Choose a candidate that reflects the values you want to propose. We'll be able to do the same thing. We'd like to do it in concert with you. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yenny.
Thank you so much.
Okay.